All right, this is going to be take two for be careful who you listen to. So, I've got my notes here handy. Keep me on track because my first try, man, I was some serious rambling. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Here recently, I've got another subject on my mind, and that is be careful who you listen to on the internet because there's really no guarantee who you're listening to is actually an expert of what they're talking about. And I have some examples, and we'll move along into, we'll use this video to springboard or as a jumping off point to another video that I'm going to do after this one. The first example I'd like to give you here about be careful who you listen to on the internet is the pistol caliber wars. Now, the pistol caliber wars was initiated when the FBI came out with their letter stating their reasonings why they were moving from the 40 Smith & Wesson to the 9mm. Immediately after that happened, we had a bunch of people producing videos saying that the reason the FBI was moving from 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm is because the FBI said that the 9mm was just as good as the 40 Smith & Wesson. Well, that's not what they said. It's not what they said at all. There was 5 reasons that they said they were switching, and I'm going to give you 2 of them here. If you want to know the other reasons, go and there's public access to the letter. You can go look at it and read the summary first, and then read the rest of the paper, and you'll be easy to pick out the 5 reasons. To me, the 2 most important reasons is number 1, the FBI stated that their agents miss a lot during firefights, during shootouts. They miss more than they hit. So having a pistol caliber that has a bigger magazine capacity is a good thing. So switching from 40 to 9mm allows them to have a bigger pistol magazine capacity. Okay, that was number one reason. The number 2 reason that I think is important, they stated that their agents cannot qualify with the 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, this is the same reason that the FBI moved from the 10mm to the 40 Smith & Wesson, is because their agents are recoil sensitive and they can't qualify with a high pressure pistol cartridge. Most of them cannot, they're recoil sensitive. They can't qualify. And heck, if you can't qualify with a pistol caliber, then when you get into a shootout, you're definitely not, your problems are exponentially worse. So that's another reason, in my opinion, the second most important reason that they changed to 9mm. Okay, so they did not say that 9mm is better than or just as good as 40 Smith & Wesson 357 SIG or 357 Magnum. That is not what they said. They said it was adequate for their needs. And there's a big difference between adequate and just as good. And if you have any questions about that, you need to go look at the Paul Harrell videos where he talks about 9mm 40 Smith & Wesson and 9mm comparing it to 357 Magnum, if you need to see some actual evidence. So go search for the Paul Harrell videos. The next thing I'd like to talk about is a little story that I like to call the Gunny. I was, a fan, follower of a certain channel, and he was, this individual was becoming more and more popular, and I always thought the guy was fun to watch, because, he had the appropriate makeup, his attitude, his facial expressions, the way he moved his body, his hand movements were, very well practiced. I always thought that was funny. Well, the problem was new people were coming on to his channel and they started calling him the Gunny. Here's the problem. This gentleman did not serve one day in the military. Not one day. So he was never the Gunny. It was just a persona that he was using on YouTube. Okay? He did it very well. But the point is, he's not the Gunny. He never was the Gunny. But when you have people on your channel calling you the Gunny, then other people who don't know any difference believe that you are the Gunny. And that's the problem. Which brings us to the next subject, is the Recce rifle. Well, one day I was watching the Gunny. He was talking about his Recce rifle. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, why is he calling that a Recce rifle? So I started looking around on YouTube for the Recce rifle. And I found a lot of videos on the Recce rifle. Which, kind of sent me to maybe curious, kind of confused. I didn't understand why they were calling it a Recce rifle. So I had to call up my son, and I'm like, hey, what's a Recce rifle? He started explaining to me, and I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand what the rifle is. I guess my question really is, why do they call it a Recce rifle? That's not what it's called, or that's not what we used to call it. Why do they say Recce rifle? Okay. So the best thing, we got to talking about it, and the best we could figure out is it was a marketing ploy. It was a marketing ploy. So what they had done is taken a real rifle that was used by the SEALs, or specifically the SEALs, that they had made this determination in the early 1990s that they needed a sniper system that could not only engage targets out to 600 yards, but also be available for them during firefights. So you go back and forth. And I guess maybe you could say it's also call it a designated marksman rifle. And what this rifle looked like was they would take an M4, remove the 14.5-inch barrel, then replace it with a 16-inch stainless steel barrel. Then they would add their favorite optic, a 2-stage trigger, and then this new rifle was put into service, specifically built for snipers by armorers, and it was called the M4 Sniper, and some people called it the SEAL Sniper, but not the Recce rifle, and that's what was confusing me. Okay, so this type of, the Recce rifle is nothing new. It was established in the early 1990s, so it's not, it's a designated marksman rifle. It's a sniper rifle. It's not a Recce rifle. Recce is not a thing. Recce is not a rifle. Recce is not gear. Recce is actually reconnaissance. Recce is something you do. And that was part of my confusion. So that's another example of why you need to be careful who you're listening to and what they are saying on YouTube and on the internet. Another thing lately that I've seen, and I've brought it up before, is carrying a pistol on your gear, on your hanging gear, or on your kit, whatever you want to call it. Personally, I don't care if you do or not. But as I've said before, if you're going to carry a pistol on your kit, then you need to think of it as an offensive weapon, the offensive pistol. And what we're talking about here for an offensive pistol is a full-size service pistol with a barrel of at least 4.5 inches minimum. 4.5 inches minimum. And I'm going to tell you why. Back in the 1970s, there was a organization called GIGN. It's the French anti-terrorism team. They are considered to be special forces or special operations, even though they are attached to law enforcement and not the military. So what they determined all these many years ago is that if you want a pistol that is an offensive weapon, then you need a pistol caliber that has stopping power. And yeah, I realize everybody says that pistols really don't have stopping power. Well, compared to rifles, that's true. But pistols do have stopping power. And what the GIGN discovered was that pistol caliber stopping power is based on penetration and expansion. So if you want to carry a pistol, an offensive pistol, then you need to make sure that you have a pistol that provides both penetration and expansion to equate any type of stopping power. Now, this was important to the GIGN because they wanted one-stop shots from 50 yards. So what they determined, or what they settled on, what they chose, was the .357 Magnum being fired from a pistol that they developed in-house, and it was called the MR73. And it had a 5.5-inch barrel. So that's what I was saying. You know, if you're going to carry a pistol, then carry a full-size pistol, all right? A full-size service pistol. Glock 17, whatever it is. But you need a pistol with a minimum barrel length of 4.5 inches. And that is going to give you the appropriate penetration and expansion for stopping power. So using that information right there from the GIGN and stopping power and the special warfare pistol Mark 23, the offensive pistol, we're going to use this information as a springboard or jumping off point for another discussion. And I'm going to share one more story with you about pay attention to who you're listening to, because they may not be the expert on the subject. They may not have the right information. And since I just mentioned the Mark 23, I want to talk about the Mark 23. Now, there are a lot of people who say that the Mark 23, after being developed, that it was a safe queen. It went into the armory, nobody liked it, nobody used it, and that is 100% incorrect. It's a myth. The SEALs did use the Mark 23, and they used it on special missions. Not everyone on the SEAL teams ever used the Mark 23, but there were many who did. So you saw the Mark 23 being used in shipboarding operations, the little submarines, I forget what they're called, but the little two-man submarines. The shooter in that submarine pair was carrying a Mark 23. It saw land warfare use in Afghanistan. Heck, the SEALs even used the USP-40, the H&K USP-40 on shipboarding missions. So be careful who you're listening to, because if you hear somebody say that the Mark 23 was never used in service, well, it's a myth, right? It's a myth. It's incorrect. It was used. So please, if you would, check and double check what people are saying on YouTube videos and on the internet. Heck, you need to check on me. Double check me. Triple check it. Right? And I just want you to remember one thing that I said from the very beginning. I don't know how many people are going to watch these videos. I'm not here to create an audience. I'm not here to make any money. I'm not going to review anything. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I just want to get this information out there so you can see it and make a solid decision for yourself. And when I see something that is wrong or bothers me, then I'm going to talk about it if you're interested in seeing it. So I think that's enough for today. Remember the things that we've talked about previously. First, logistics. Second, less contractor, more MACV-SOG. And now we have a new one. If you're going to carry a pistol on your kit, it needs to be a full-size service pistol with a minimum of a 4.5-inch barrel. I hope you have a blessed day.